during this session. I hope that I want to make sure that this session is a one that you can learn a lot. And also this is my first time doing a webinar. So I seek your high understanding and then for any shortcomings that I may have throughout this session. Okay, so just a bit about me. I started off as a self-taught carpenter. So I started off as an entrepreneur learning how to do woodcraft. And along my journey in building furnitures, helping clients to come up with woodcraft stuff, I chanced upon running a space in the National Design Center. So I actually headed the One Mega Group as one of the lead to actually run the space, come up with content, do programs, and even help the members to actually create different prototypes from there. So ever since then, I have now joined Reactor School. It's been a really fun and exciting period. Even though I just joined about 1 or 2 weeks, I'm learning a lot, and I'm actually very excited to share with you, some of the tools that I have just learned in such a short time to everyone. So I hope that you can take the time. If you have any questions, I would encourage you to write them down now. In fact, I want you to write down, what do you like to learn, and you can put them in the chat over here, because I know in Singapore, when you ask people to ask questions at the end of the session, right, nobody will ask one. Yeah, so I ask at the start first, so you can take note that what you want to ask later on. So it'd be good also to write down what you want to learn. And as I'm going through this session with you, if I've covered this, please do let me know. Yeah, because I want to make sure that this session provides you with enough knowledge, enough information for you to understand right now, how can you conduct, product design and user experience design, in your own curriculum or in your own environment, following up from today. Okay, so before we start, just want to check, how many of you are very fluent with Zoom? Yeah, if you are fluent with Zoom, right, you probably know how to use the reaction in this Zoom feature, right? So if you can, give me a thumbs up, for any reaction that you see, so that I can know who actually is quite fluent with Zoom. Yes. Oh, okay. Some of you, very good. Yeah. So Zoom has this feature where you can give a thumbs up, to the speaker, so they know that you are paying attention. You are there. And you also have Google Hangouts and Teams, right? But you realize what is missing in this whole picture? Skype is not around. Yeah. And the funny thing about why Skype is not around is that actually, do you find Skype difficult to use, or do you find Zoom interface to be slightly more easier? Yeah. So this is something that Zoom has done very well, especially during the COVID-19 situation. It has made virtual calling very simple by sending a link. While in Skype, you need to probably get the contacts, add them into your email before you can call. So it's a bit tedious. Yeah, sorry. So you can get so it's a bit tedious from there. Yeah. So what's cool about right now is that there is this 3 platform: Google Hangouts on the left, Zoom in the middle, and for those who do not know what's on the right, it's called Microsoft Teams. It's a virtual platform that is usually used by school and some companies to help them do Zoom, similar like virtual call meetings. And in fact, in Zoom, in Zoom, there is this feature where you can create
everyone, Farah from Zoom here. On this brief video, we're going to show you how you can leverage
our sorry, I think there is
to take a large meeting.
I accidentally pressed the breakout room. Yeah, so sorry about that. Let me just put this up again. Yeah, so in this Zoom call, there's actually a breakout room function. So I keep clicking on this. Okay, so there's this breakout room function all the way at the bottom. It's kind of like, when you want to break your groups up into different groups to discuss, you can actually use the breakout room. So for those that have not tried Zoom, I highly encourage you to take a look at this feature. I've done this in some of my sessions online with students, and it's been really great fun, because what you see is that right now you can track the students talking in their rooms. You can head in and out. You can check in from there as when you see that it seems feasible. So, but today, I actually wanted to introduce you all to a different tool. It is called Discord. Yeah. For those who know Discord, and those who don't know, let me give you some information. Discord is actually a gaming channel. Yeah, believe it or not, it's a gaming channel for streamers. So people who are streaming on their own desktops and PC, and they want to get people to check out what they're doing, or at least as a gaming channel for them to talk to each other, we use Discord. But what I found that actually Discord is a very interesting tool where you can actually see people doing stuff and actually talking to each other. And that's what we call making learning visible. And this feature are very intuitive and actually helps a lot as facilitators to understand how to better teach and better facilitate. So there's this boosting features that is in Discord. Let me just bring you. Yeah, so when you boost the feature, you can actually get more people into the channel. You can actually do better quality of live streaming. You can even do emoji. And this emoji and memes thing is very popular among youngsters. So just to show you an example. Yeah, this is how it looks like for a program that was conducted about a week ago. So we did this program for a bunch of Neon students. And on the left, you see that there are channels that are set up to help them get any help that they need. For example, we do all the announcement on the announcement channels. For teams that need help, they post in I need help. And at the left-hand side, you also see that there's an entire class chat, and also there's discussion room. When you put students into the different room, you can actually see if they are talking to each other, because you can see if they are muted or they are actually not muted. They are talking to each other, and you can do video calls from there. The only limitation is that Discord has a limit of 25 people that you can share when it comes to video presentation. But other than that, it's a very fun tool. We use this to break the ice, get students together. You see the memes on the channel. It's a very informal way, a very fun way of bringing people together, and it makes learning much more interesting and not less serious, but at the same time, it can be fun as well. Okay, so moving on, I'd like to share more about Design Blitz. So Design Blitz is a reference that I've gotten from Design Sprints, which talks about building and testing prototype within a short time. So it's a curriculum that I have designed to help students or professionals to have a better understanding of how can you facilitate product design and user experience design in a short amount of time, and then do this and help the students to learn better. Okay, so you can find out more on this. There's in fact a design sprint kit on Google that you can download. This is open source. So feel free to use the materials here to actually get started with any of your design sprints, methodology or facilitation methods. And people are also constantly submitting new ideas and contributing to this design sprint kit as well. So feel free to check it out. Okay, so first thing I'd like to touch on is what is product design and what is user experience design. Yeah, nowadays, these two terms are very popular. Yeah, especially when even finding jobs, product designer, user experience designer, UI designer. These are hot and upcoming jobs that people want to jump into. But what exactly is product design and user experience design? For product experience, for the product design is about identifying a problem and then coming up with solution, and through customer validation, you get feedback, and then you iterate different prototypes from there. It's actually split into two different categories. Hardware prototype and software prototype. Yeah, most classes that I've conducted have done it digitally before. So creating different apps, creating different design online, creating website. But when it comes to physical product, a lot of facilitators actually highlight that it's not very easy. Yeah, it's very difficult to conduct this because either they lack of the knowledge, or they find that it's very hard for you to get started even finding these materials. Okay, so let's move on next to what is product design. Oh, sorry. User experience design, sorry. So user experience design is a process, yeah, that creates product and provide meaningful and happy experience actually to users. So this is kind of like a visual maps of different customer journeys and primarily understanding the functionality and usability. And you could probably ask me, hey, Robin, I think UX and product design seems kind of similar, right? They are in fact going through this user empathy journey with the client, and finding out what they are looking for, and then validating and coming up with different products. Yes, they are in fact different. It's actually very, I would say, minor difference, but if you put it on the professional stance, Product design actually focus more on the business side of the idea. Yeah, on how is it being iterated. Like that's version 1, version 2, version 3. User experience tend to look into processes, services, and programs, and that's what make it slightly different. Probably after hearing me, you could be saying that, hey, I'm still a bit confused. How then do I explain product design and user experience design to a student? Yeah, they might not get it after explaining all this. So what I got, what this was shared with me by a friend, it was very interesting. So you can click on the link as well to find out. So this was actually a father trying to explain to a daughter what's the difference of user experience and user interface, which these two words have been constantly been used together. So how he explained to the daughter is that here we have her. So in this case, the daughter is the user of the product, which is the bicycle over here. Okay, and then in the bicycle, you see there are different parts. So there's the handle, there's a pedal, there's a tire. These are what we call user interface. So the user actually interact with the product, and these are the parts that we refer to as user interface. So what is user experience? User experience is this daughter that is very happy over here after learning how to cycle. So user experience plays a very strong role in understanding the emotions of a user. So you want to go through a process with the angle of having the users being satisfied, being happy. Yeah. So in this very simple illustration, he has covered what's a product, what's a user, what's a UI, and what's a UX. And I hope this is a more simplified version or way to explain this to your students as well. Okay, so moving on. The facilitation techniques. Yes, this part is where, based on many of my experience that I've started conducting in schools, and how do I translate them into different facilitation methods. I kind of practice the design thinking, but I won't say I'm a full-fledged design thinking practitioner. In fact, I kind of I'm those pseudo design thinking practitioner with somehow figure my way through understanding the whole concept of design thinking methodologies. So one of the ways that I've tried facilitating is learning how to use 3D printers, laser cutters, but this could be very hard for those that just started. So I'd like to introduce you to this very simple method. It's called Tapigami. And what you do is that you just use masking tapes. Yeah, you could be saying that masking tape is it's just a tape. What can you do with it? So in this pictures and videos that you see in the slides, masking tape actually has very interesting properties. It's versatile, it's accessible, and also importantly, it's malleable. So how do you create different prototypes with masking tapes? There's actually 3 methods that you use. So you either crush, you roll, or you fold. Yeah. So you can roll and fold, and then as you can see on the pictures from the left, you can create different artifacts, different figures, and this can be used as a proof of concept prototype. In many cases, when you start prototyping, you'll probably be using things like cardboard, maybe using things like plasticine. So these are generally your field materials to start with. But I want to come from a different angle on using different kinds of material that could probably seems not so workable at the start, but eventually when you start working on it, it's actually very powerful. So it's very easy. Students who have used masking tape before can easily create different shapes, different designs. People who don't know how to use masking tape can eventually find their way out by using the 3 simple ways that I practice. Okay? And in fact, this has been done in a lot of makers fair, and this was done by one of the maker. He has created a lot of very nice arts from there. Okay. Second method is exploring this material called polymorph. Yeah, it's a type of thermoplastics that is kind of have the same property as a plasticine. When you put it into the hot water, it actually melts down and comes together to form this very semi-solid stage where you can mold, you can create different shapes from there. Once it's actually solid, as you can see in the picture, it is very hard. Yeah. So it's a very good prototyping material, because at the same time, if you compare this to like a plasticine material that is very easily, it can break very easily, this actually makes it harder and makes it more versatile in terms of presenting your idea. So just to give you show you some example of what you can do with this. So over here, you can see that you can actually use it like a hack. You can combine it with a spanner, you can combine it with a pencil, or you can make it, or you can color it and give it a different texture, like making it into a sushi. So the power of this material is that if you don't like the design, what you do is just throw it back to the hot water. It melts back to the semi-solid state, and you can remold again. Yeah, so it actually helps the students better in understanding, you know, maybe what can be done better, and you save material. So this is one interesting material. I encourage you guys to look this up. I think you can find this on some stores in Singapore. If not, you can get them in the box in Alibaba or AliExpress. They're fairly cheap, and I'll encourage you to check out these materials. And last but not least, using Lego. Yeah, I think many of you have come across Lego. And in fact, Lego have come up with this method of teaching. We call it the Lego Serious Play. It is basically a facilitation process to help you develop your creativity through making and storytelling. So I attended one of this session, and it's very interesting because you never knew that Lego could be so intuitive. Yeah, when people pick up the modules, they can actually make it into a story. And as you start talking about it, you start developing this confidence to actually speak up. Yeah, you can check out the link that I've put in the website as well. These are actually our open source material. So if you want to learn how to conduct a Lego Serious Play facilitation method, just click on the link, and then there are materials for you to work on. In fact, there are also certified Lego Serious Play trainers that you can learn on and maybe get certified if you are interested in this way. Okay, so these are just the 3 ways that I facilitated talking to students, helping them in the prototyping process. And it's very important that in current situation where it's very hard to do this offline, bringing this online through a Zoom call, through a Discord, you know, through a Microsoft Teams meeting, bring a tactile experience online actually give validation to how the students can progress further. Like simple thing like completing an artwork and showing them on the screen actually makes a lot of difference, even through a world where we cannot really meet physically. Okay, and next important thing that I want to touch on is also about designing challenges. Yeah, so it's very important that students apply immediately what they learn. So after every session, I highly encourage them. I'll give them a challenge. I'll give them a task to work on. And sometimes when designing a challenge, it can be either fairly easy or it can be fairly complicated. So these are just 2 tips to help you get on into understanding how can you create, you know, discovery questions or statement using these 2 headers. You know, how might we, and what do you think? Just to show you an example. So this is an example that I've been reusing multiple times because I actually get very interesting ideas from here as well. So how might we rethink the way we eat? Yeah, by understanding this sentence, you first know that it's about consumption. But then again, what are the ways that you can eat can be different, be it cultural or be it in terms of the food properties. So I just show you an example from here. So this is a food in front of you. Yeah. And this food is actually edible. It is a type of bacteria. Yeah. So it's a bit about thinking about futuristic eating, you know, how do we consume food in a different way? Yeah. And the tools that you see at the side on both left and right, these are tools that are designed to eat them. How is it being used? So you can actually hold it because the material is very delicate. Yeah, I created a design tool, or this designer created a tool to hold it up. You can actually break it using the head of the spoon on the top right-hand corner, or you can actually break it with the chopstick tools that is on the bottom left, and you can eat it with the spoon. So when it comes to product design, in this case, I've presented a futuristic food. And I will encourage the student to think about what are some of the tools that they can design. You could probably say that, hey, these are more imaginative stuff, it's more futuristic, you know, the students might not be able to imagine. But I would say that's the point of actually getting them to work on this challenge, because if the challenge is not difficult enough for them to think, then I think the challenge has no purpose in it. So another use case that I can bring up is that there's this student that was designing a cup noodle that basically has this top area that is covered. So as he's eating, or as he or she is eating, she don't see the food. Yeah. So it's basically for her, it's basically like saying that I'm eating, but I'm not getting fat because I don't see the food. So it's a very psychological thing. So you get very interesting ideas when it comes to product creation from there. Okay. And then even using statements like, what do you think? Yeah. In this case, I use Singapore as an example. Now, what do you think Singapore will look like in 20 years? So this part is where the product user experience design come in. We talk about understanding a process in terms of user experience, right? So this was one that I conducted for a architect company. See, wow. The interesting thing is that I given them a task. Each team, if you see on the picture, there is this hex tiles that we are giving it to them. And they're just using very simple tools like papers, simple LED lights and simple different color papers. So it was for them to reimagine what Singapore will look like in the next 20 years. And this was what they came up with. Very simple materials. It's nothing very difficult. As you can see, there are like ice cream sticks that's being used. There are packs. There are colored materials. There are color papers. Very simple too. But when you put the whole of the materials together, it actually looks pretty nice. Yeah, it looks like something that is done through teamwork, something that they can explain, something they can narrate a story out of it. So this is also a bit about practicing the students on their pitching or on their presentation to have more confidence in what they do and to present to their friends in this case. Okay, so bring through with you the digital, I would say, assessment in this case. I actually came up with a few series of it, and I thought to share this with everyone and for them. There's nothing, I would say, fanciful, nothing special. What I did was I distilled down the ways that go about the thought process for a student and put them into like a digital sheet over here. So at the top here, you have a problem statement. You could put as a title, you can put as a question, you can even leave it blank first. But what you want to start off with, you want to start off with understanding the journey mapping of a user. And then you start identifying what are the opportunities that you can design or solution that you come up with. Draw a few concepts that might resolve this problem. I highly encourage you to get the students to use pictures. Yeah, images will be very awesome because a lot of text just kind of make the whole illustration a bit boring and a bit hard to explain as well. So then encourage them to get pictures from online, even take pictures if they can find and put it here, because everything is online, right? It's very easy to do all this when you just take a photo, send it through an email, or you just get a picture from Google search and then just put it there. So you start with the concept. We move on right now to learning what has the journey mapping changed. Has it helped the user overcome the problem? And then identify the features. You can write down 1 to 3 of them. And basically on the right side is for them to evaluate if these insights are actually important or what insight have they derived by understanding this feature. Let me show you an example on this. So the problem statement, I want to help children that is under the age of 3 to cycle independently. So I have a journey mapping of a kid and the father is teaching her how to cycle, but eventually the experience wasn't that bad because the kid kept falling. Yeah, and the father needs to be there most of the time. So I found out there's an opportunity that we can in fact make independent learning available for this 3-year-old kid, and probably the parents not just only teach them, they can actually enjoy the whole process with them. So I came up with a few concepts, pedalers bicycle, yeah, or maybe a bicycle with a handle at the back so that the father can actually guide them along. So I actually go down to the third part where you talk about the after. So there's a kid again, the daughter, and right now, she's very happy. She's cycling with the family, the father and the mother, and they don't need to be guided anywhere. And the end process is that, hey, the kid is very happy. It feels a sense of achievement. So that's what I've changed by come up with a few concepts, and this is how I perceive it. So the features that I identified is that the handle, which is important for guiding. In this case, I've used the example of the bicycle with no wheels because it's more about balancing right now than actually cycling. So it's a bit more easier for the 3-year-old kid to understand how to cycle. Possible feature is that I can have a built-in sensor or horn that light up when I'm close to an object or close to a person. Yeah, especially when you are cycling, you sometimes have no control and you can't stop. So the horn is there to warn the participants to, or the passerby to be careful. Yeah. So insights that I derived from this is that, children do not like falling. Yeah, they do not like hurting themselves, and that's why I came up with these features. And actually, parents, in fact, want to learn together with them instead of just by their side teaching them. They want to be together with them to empower them to actually learn independently. So this is a very simple exercise that you can do with your students. We'll be sending this to you after the session as a follow-up email from there. Okay, so last but not least, I'm almost coming to the end of the session, but I just want to do a quick summary of some of the digital tools that you can get started straight away, and teaching, using them to learn how to teach your students after this. Okay, so first you have the communication platform, Google Hangouts, Zoom, Microsoft Teams. Yes, Discord is free, so feel free to download them. You could be saying that, oh no, this is a very kids thing, but trust me, it is a very good learning tool that you can start exploring. Okay, so for recording software, okay, so a bit about recording is that in most of our pitches that we do with the students, we actually get them to pre-record themselves pitching. Yeah, and this is because as we start to groom kids to learn how to build their own startup, right, they will eventually learn how to pitch to their investors. And in current situation, you can't really pitch face-to-face. So what investors do is actually they look at your pre-recordings. And when I get students to do recording, don't get them to do just one time. Yeah, you'll be amazed at what they can do after the second, third time. So this morning I was conducting a session for getting them to pre-record themselves. So first time, their video was like 17 seconds introducing themselves. After we told them what to do and they started to try again, you find that they became confident. They were like, the accent changed and they try to present more confidently in front, and you find that the pitch is much more clearer. They are able to articulate certain problems, certain solutions, certain users very clearly from there. So Loom is a free software. It's basically, you can check it out, it's an extension that you can install in Chrome, and the recording is very intuitive. It's very easy to use. You can even do it on mobile phone as well. So you have a screen that's at the bottom left-hand corner. You can even do with just yourself or just the screen. Okay, do feel free to check it out. The one at the bottom is actually Apple's Clips. So the video recording software is an in-app that is available only in the iOS platform. It's a very quick video editing software that can get them to put together. Unfortunately, it's not available on the Android. So you can start off with actually using Loom first. So next, this was actually covered in last week's seminar when we talk about using virtual canvas. Yeah. So imagine right now where you don't have whiteboards to write. Yeah, you don't even have anything that. So virtual canvas are very, very helpful. And after this, I wanted to show you a quick peek about what Miro actually does. The actual pronunciation, Miro, I think, I call it Miro. So it's like a canvas that you can build upon after each session. As you keep growing, you actually see the progress of how the students actually learn and actually apply different knowledge into different areas as you are proceeding with different categories of your facilitation. Okay, so after this, I'll just share a bit more. Last week, there's also a speaker that actually have this virtual platform called Class Do. This is by a local company. Do check them out. I've included the link on the website here. So once you click on this link, you can actually head off, or you can just Google search. So it's basically a virtual canvas plus a video conferencing. So it's like a 3-in-1, all-in-one, very cool platform that you can get your students to talk to each other and learn at the same time. Okay, so before I move on to the Q&A, just a very quick run-through review in terms of what Miro does. So this is a board that we have designed for the class. So it can be a good icebreaker. So we use it to do some very virtual icebreaker. So you can introduce themselves. Everyone just need to create their post-it note. You can get everyone on board. Just share this link with them. They can type themselves. Hi, I'm Robin. And then you can see all this post-it notes here. The power of this canvas is that it is not just a single page. you can actually input links. You can input your own tutorials and put it here, and people and the students can click and then find out how to and view the videos from here. Okay, so this is very intuitive. The canvas is in fact very big, as you can see. This is the whole area that you can use. Yeah, so most of the time I only use a certain few areas. So what we do is that we get the students to understand, the different steps about teaching, why startups, selecting startups. They actually go through a voting process. This is pretty cool because the students can pick up the post-it, can pick up this what you call dots to select which is their favorite idea. You can actually explore these features further. You can even set a timer. You can even set a voting mechanism so that people can start voting, and that's where you group them up, into different groups. So everyone gets to do this virtually. One very exciting part is here, and I know last week's webinar, if you have attended, they have shared this, but I just want to share this for those who had not done this. This is a virtual icebreaker. So virtual treasure hunt. So what we did was we get the students to go around their house to look for materials and get them to come together as a team. So for example, there was a list that photo of a pet, photo of a textbook, and get them to put them together to really break the ice, to get things going, because they don't really meet each other. Yeah, the issue is that they don't see each other. This is the first time they are knowing each other, and it's through a virtual platform, and we want to make this fun. And the recent features that was added to Miro is that you can now place passwords to your bots. So what this means is that you can actually do a escape room in your Miro bot, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like a treasure hunt where you need to solve this puzzle, and then you type in the password, and then you can move on to the next bot. So we're currently exploring that feature. It's still work in progress, but this is what you can do. So for this, we have broken up into 2 bots. So first we have the class bot where everyone go through, the standard modules that is made available to them. Yeah, at any point in time, if you find that, they need any help, they can actually put a post-it note, or if there are any questions or feedback, they can just put this over here and then we can take a look. I want to take you to the class bot as well. So this is their class bot. So what we did is that after team formation, okay, they actually they are moved to this team bots where they need to fill up different set. So this was thanks to my colleague, amazing colleagues which had helped to put this together. We have distilled down this to the very simplest form so that they can understand what this different aspect is about. So even down to here, when we get them to create different prototype, you can see that it looks pretty polished, right? Yeah, it looks that it is, in fact, all done. Yeah, and you go through this process with them of prototyping, of making it happen, the interface. And honestly, these are all designed in Miro. Yeah, you don't, in fact, need to download a new software or create a new shapes. There's a lot of tools and features that you can use, that you can create all this thing. And for links, what you do is just copy and paste the links over here. Okay, so today, this is about it. Feel free to explore. You can even do like a PowerPoint, although we got some mixed feedback from the PowerPoint because students are more familiar with Google Slides. So they actually do it in Google Slides rather than over here, because this is kind of like a new software, a new tool that they are using for the first time. So they might not know how to really put this together very tastefully. So in fact, you can actually do this. You can select the frames. You can actually do presentation mode. You can start presenting in front of the in front of the camera from there. Okay, so these are some of the tools that I wanted to share, and I hope that today's session has been have provided you with some insights on how I myself, who's relatively new to all this platform. In fact, I would say I'm only 2 weeks old into learning this platform, and constantly finding new ways to encourage the students to take on, understanding how product design or how user experience design could be taught differently. So I'm still learning. So if you have any, tips, feel free to share. Any questions, this is a good time to ask me. Okay. So with that, I kind of ended study a bit early because I want to place more times into Q&A to try to understand, what the current problems educators are facing. Or if you find that if you have any questions about the tools that I have used, feel free to use this opportunity to actually talk to me. Yeah. So this is the part where if you have any question, you can unmute yourself. You can on the camera, and trust me, students don't like to on their camera. Yeah, and it's very important that I get to know the person that I'm talking to so that I'm able to find ways to help you more, to get to familiarize with you. Okay, so I'm opening up the Q&A session right now to the floor. Any of you have any questions or any part of this segment that you want to clarify? This is a good time to ask me as well. Okay. Okay. So like this is a part where I say when I ask any questions that everyone. Yeah. Yes, Joyce, you feel free to text your question over here. I can look at the chat. Yeah, if you're very shy and want to be in front of the camera, don't worry. You can type your questions in the chat. I hope I can answer to the best of my abilities. Okay. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Robin. Just want to check. Just now you said that you have the students usually have a little bit more problem with the Mira, right?
Miro, yes.
Miro, yeah. So, is the Miro similar to PowerPoint slides, or is it really a totally new thing?
Okay, so Miro is a virtual canvas. Basically, there is more that you can do than just the slides. So if you really explore the features of it, you can do a lot of interesting things. PowerPoint itself is used for presentation. Yeah. So we use the virtual canvas as a tool to also get feedback, to talk to the students directly, or in a way you would say virtually. Because sometimes the student might not articulate themselves very well in front of the camera or in front of the virtual tool that they're using. So I use Miro board just to go back to this and show you. Because in this case, right, you're actually encouraging what we call self-paced learning. So for students that are fast, they can actually move on through the modules, fairly quickly from there. So for example, if I'm doing here, we actually have a recap of every day to actually get them started. You can actually go through the problem. You can put all your one good tool that to couple with Miro is to use Typeform as well. So if you see some of the links, let me just open this up for you. Oh, sorry, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Typeform. So what we do is that we go through with them like a short exercise. So most of this are usually done by facilitating, like if it's in a classroom, I will actually be talking about this, right? What you can right now do is that you can allow them to do it themselves. So they have a bit more independent learning. They only ask questions where they feel they are in doubt. Yeah. So for the facilitators, it's very easy for us to right now understand where the progress they are. So for students that are quick, what we do is that once you're done, you can just let us know by typing the Zoom call saying that I'm done. And then those that are struggling a bit, they can ping us through Zoom, or in fact, they can actually ping you through Discord. Yeah, either through personal message or through direct message where you can articulate this to them more clearly. Yeah, so try to explore this. I would say PowerPoint, Google Slides is good for presenting. Yeah, but for teaching and facilitating, you can explore Miro.
Okay, how much of your time are allocated to applications? That means after you teach them, then they apply.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So actually, in fact, for the sessions that I've conducted, the actual on-time camera time that I have with the students, let's say if you're talking about an hour of session that we conduct with the student, in fact, only 15 to 20 minutes, even less than that, I'm on time in the camera with them. Most of the time, they are actually in the Miro board doing their work. Yeah, and you can actually connect this with Slack. Yeah, Slack is a task manager tool where you can actually create different channels, or you can even do this in Discord so that you can know where they're doing. Because when you are in Discord, right, you now are able to monitor the students technically without them knowing. Yeah. So if they are doing any work, right, if you see they are muted, say, hey, these students must be not talking to each other. So that's where you can jump in and say that, hey, what are you doing? Do you need any help? So that's where I think it's not very intrusive, but at the same time, you are guiding them as you feel it is timely. If not, you'll be like, trying to ask if they are okay, they are not. It can be very interactive sometimes as well.
So you say Discord has only 25 limit to the students, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, right now for video screening, the maximum screening that you can do is up to 25. Yeah, so it used to be 50 during the COVID-19 earlier days. Right now, it's actually back to 25. So if you have a cohort that's less than 25, right? Yeah, do explore Discord. Yeah. If not, I think we sometimes jump between Zoom and Discord, but it can be a bit, I would say, troublesome. Yeah, for students who are using for first time, like, why suddenly one day I'm using Zoom, one day I'm using Discord? So as far as possible, for future classes that we are conducting, we actually are using Discord as the main channel for discussion and talking, facilitating a lot of these sessions here as well.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Okay, so I have some questions in the chat. Okay. Hi, have you tried Mural? Mural, and if yes, how different is it? Oh, for this, I haven't really tried, so sorry about that. Yeah, but I think if there's similar virtual canvas, feel free to try them out. Yeah, I only happened to chance upon Miro like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and imagine me learning for the first time. It can be very scary, you know, when all your colleagues, like, who are very well versed, suddenly throw you to do all the stuff that you don't know. But when I did a quick search online, right, just Googling on how to use Miro, it's actually quite easy to use. Yeah, it's not that difficult once you get a hang of it, especially for students when all they need to do is just keying their inputs, you know, maybe copying image and typing it out. It's very, very straightforward, but for as facilitators, there are different tools that you can use, like I said, to design the whole interface much more intuitive. So there's a lot thought process going into user experience, user interface. After every session, in fact, I sit down together with my colleague to understand how can we do this better. Yeah, because this process could be, it's a process that we keep changing to make it much more better. And we are still in the early phases of using Miro, so there is a lot to explore. Okay, just give me a second. I'll just move on to the next question on the chat. Okay, hi Robin, can we use clay instead of polymorph, or does polymorph give the student the sense of material resources? Yes, you can in fact use clay. Why I would actually encourage you to use polymorph, right? Honestly, it's because clay, you might need to keep buying materials again and again. Polymorph, you can in fact recycle them. Yeah, after you use, for example, you have created like a handphone stand for the student, right? And the student is just use it for one time during the session. You can actually throw it back to hot water, mold them together. I will encourage you to pull them out into different smaller bits, and it becomes a material again. And what in fact we do is that for the material that you have mixed, right, we put different color pigments. So right now the polymorph, suddenly from white color can become red color, yellow color, blue color, and then you can use them again for next session. So the infinite shelf life actually has a lot of benefit. And because clay, right, once it's hardened, it can be very brittle if it breaks. And trust me, when you're creating materials, right, the last thing you want is for it to drop from a table or drop from the floor, and the student will be like, shit, I need to do this over again, like, oh man. But for polymorph, if you drop on the floor, right, I can guarantee it won't break. Even if you use a hammer to try to whack, it's very hard. Yeah, so and it's very interesting to also share this materials, because it's a bit understanding about the material properties, and not many students understand what material is. Yeah, so for me, when as a designer, right, I'm actually usually looking at form or function, but there's another aspect where we look at the material kind, and which is rarely being taught lah. And I thought this would be an interesting, topic to bring up, Ken, about it. Okay, so this is just my thought on that.
So sorry, Robin, the thermoplastic, the polymorph, you always need the hot water and cold water around, right?
Honestly, you just need the hot water. The cold water, you can let it just cool down. Yeah, but one thing that, like you said, is hot water. I would say hot water is hot water, but not boiling water. So especially when doing this, right, to be careful is that as facilitators, because they're handling hot water, try to be mindful because there were cases where I've conducted it before, and then the children or the student accidentally scald their hand. Yeah. So when it comes to preparing the material, so as facilitator, usually I will be there to guide them first. And later on, you find that, wow, it's very easy for them to get started. Okay, so sorry if you have any questions. So I just want to go through the chat one by one. If at any point that, okay, wow, you need to leave, right? You need me to answer your burning question, please let me know. Okay. Next question. How long do you spend to create designs like this? Can you share the challenge of doing this? I have this sad experience of creating 5 hours for an active, only to spend it for 5 minutes. Oh, yeah, it's very cumbersome. I understand you. Yeah, the feeling where you spend like, wow, a lot of time trying to think, and then in the end you only use 5 minutes. Okay, I feel you on this. Yeah. For me, I think I tried to, the design process, in fact, are materials that I've referenced a lot from online. Like the things that I've learned, right? If you really look closely, it's actually part of the design thinking process. What I just do is that I extract the important parts that I feel that I want to teach students. So for me, I focus on the prototyping and the ideating part. And that's where I try to come up with content that fits this category. So you might be trying to, maybe from my perspective, is for you to focus on one aspect that you're trying to facilitate instead of the whole experience. Because when you are designing the whole experience, right, you tend to forget that certain parts you need to explain a bit more, certain parts you tend to need to maybe omit it out. Okay, so when I go about designing this, I always have a very clear focus. I want to focus on the students learning how to prototype. And I focus on that, and I think of what kind of content will be valuable to them. So it's basically you are doing a user experience design, you yourself. Yeah. So I spend, I think, close to about, for a session like this, I usually spend about a week trying to come up with different content, referencing. I try to research a lot, in fact. Yeah, I try to use existing materials that I'm comfortable with, because at the end of the day, if you're teaching something that is very foreign, right, you find that it's very hard to explain. Then in the end, the students find that, oh, they even more blur. Yeah, and you try to explain. So try to play to your strengths, work on topics that you want to start off first, and then later on, slowly incorporate other modules. As you start to get the hang of it, right, I think the modules, you will get a better gauge of how much time they will spend. Yeah, if not, like when you start doing, you think that they will spend 15 minutes, but in fact, the students are very clever, they spend 5 minutes. Then you need to spend like 10 minutes, oh, okay, thinking what they should do. So why not just focus on one aspect, and then the previous content, you can work on iterating them. So after every session, right, I always sit down and ask myself, how was the session? Was it conduct in a way that the student can understand, most importantly? Or can the students relate, or do the students have a lot of questions? If you have a lot of questions, that means there's something wrong with what you are trying to present. Yeah. If there's no question, that's probably the normal. Yeah. But it's good to sit down with someone that is have certain expertise as well. So in this case, I'm not very good with Miro. After every session, in fact, my learning design experience manager colleague, she always sit down with me asking how, as facilitator, from my perspective, how can I conduct it better? What went wrong? And it's a iterative process that is on and on and on. So I feel you, yeah, and it can get very cumbersome when you are designing for such a long time, then it only, okay, but this is part and parcel of learning. There is no, I would say there is no correct way of really teaching. It's rather finding the way that you're comfortable with and then playing to your strengths. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. So hi Rosette, so you have used Miro once during a hackathon and it's pretty similar. Miro offers template with facilitator tips as well as a video chat feature. Yeah, so I'll explore actually Miro to see how is it, how is it different. But for now, Miro, I think maybe the main difference right now for me is that I'm starting to learn this as well. So I try to pick up different features. If Miro works for you, please go ahead and try and use that. I will highly encourage you. But if you are here to explore different platforms, you can try out Miro. And thanks, Roseanne, for sharing that Miro could be one of the platforms as well. Okay. So the polymorph will be colored if you put color into it, and it wouldn't come back. Yes. Once you put color, it's like full coloring. Once you put it back, it won't be the same really. So, but then it's very interesting when different colors come together. When you have red and blue, then it becomes like a mix of ombre color, like kind of like hair dye. So it looks very cool. You can do very interesting stuff. But so here's a pretty useful. Okay. So any other questions they have? Yes. Demas.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hi,
yes,
Robin.
Hi.
Thank you for the sharing. I'm currently mentoring some teacher from elementary to senior high school.
Yes.
I'm thinking what is the ideal age to teach this user experience design to the student, because I think it's rather complex things, but it is very useful for teaching them the problem solving skill. What do you think about that?
Yeah, thanks. Yes, I think when starting off, especially for elementary or primary school teachers, right, using big words like user product design or user experience design could be difficult. But that's how I change. So when I teach primary school, I don't tell them it's user experience design. I tell them it's a storytelling process. Yeah. So what we got them to do is that through the user experience design, you want to know what is the problem that the user is facing, right? Why not we look from another perspective. We put them in a scenario and they create a story of it. So basically you want to articulate a journey that the user is going through. So in fact, you can even give them some tips of saying that, why not we have this user in this case. So I've done this sort of like user experience design with the hex tiles that you've seen in my slides. What I do was that I give them to kids and ask them to design their future home. Yeah. So technically you are not really jumping into product user experience design yet, but you are giving them sort of like a teaser to prep them so that when you teach the product user experience design, they can understand. Yeah. So put it in a sense that you are creating a user journey mapping, and you ask them, what are the possible problems that they are facing when they are going through this user journey mapping, and then you identify them, and then you create maybe a different scenario. So at every time you probably have two scenarios. You have one as a before and one as a after. Then after that, towards the end of the session, you can maybe share with them that this is actually part of what we call user experience design. Yeah. And this user experience design consists of this and this, and what you have learned through this is this and this. I think you want to simplify it in a way that they can understand and they find that it's not difficult to digest. Yeah. So importantly for me, it's speaking their language. That's what I always try to design my slides all around with. Yeah. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Yeah, so we have about 5 minutes to 8. And once again, thank you everyone for taking your time to really come down and listen to me. This is my first webinar. I'm actually very, as you can see, I'm very anxious. I didn't grab my word very well. If I didn't articulate some of this, what I'm trying to share clearly, hope you can forgive me. But other than that, it was a very fun time sharing with all of you. I hope that you have learned something new, and you can try away. If you can try it out tomorrow, that would be very awesome. But before that, this is one thing that I want to do. This is my first time, right? I want to take a photo with everyone. I've never taken a photo and this is the first time I take. So could you help me to turn on your camera? Yeah, you don't need to turn on the voice. Yeah, and then what we do is that we just take a quick photograph for everyone. Okay, yes. Ellie, could you help me with this? Yeah. So
we just get everybody on the gallery view.
Yeah. Oh, first time seeing everyone. Yeah. Okay, is everyone ready? So Ellie, are you ready?
Hang on. I can see everybody on my screen at the moment. I think I might have.
Okay, I think I'll stop sharing first.
Yeah.
There. Yes, there you go.
Okay. Wait a moment. Yes. Okay. Looking amazing.
Okay. Ken,
okay. Ready?
Thank you very much. Just pose for camera in 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Okay, sorry. There's just one more. Yeah.
Just one really quick thing.
Yes. Okay, so we have come to the end of the session. I've kept to 8 o'clock. Yeah, so that you all can break for those that are traveling, those that are on dinner. Hope you make it in time. So, Ellie?
Yeah, so if we could just trouble you to fill in a really quick couple of questions for our feedback, because this will really help us to keep on improving our sessions and bring you more topics that you want to hear about. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Please help to take the feedback. I'm trying to make this session, we're trying to make this session better, trying to help educators, and do check out the weekly webinars. Not weekly, is it weekly?
Almost, but
almost
we
weekly.
will have one next week.
Yeah, so interested, do follow us on Reactor School to find out more information. We will send a follow-up email. So we will send a follow-up email on the digital assessment that you can use. Any other than that, I think you can contact. I will leave my email here as well, so that if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yeah, so this is my email, robin@reactor.school. If you have any personal questions that you want to ask me through the email, feel free to do so. I'm happy to answer them to the best of my abilities. Other than that, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope to see you guys soon in the next webinar that I'm going to conduct. I don't know when. Yeah, but thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay,
If you have any more burning questions for Robin, you can feel free to stay back a little bit.
I'll be staying back a bit if you like one-to-one want to talk to me. Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Belle.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, Elda, traveling? Yeah.
Hi, Elda.
Hey, Robin. Hi,
Hey,
Nice to
how are
see the
you?
webinar. Good, good.
Yeah.
Robin, do you know Elda?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We used to work
we are.
together.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's
How
why
long
you
already?
right?
It was like,
I don't know, 2015?
yeah,
Yeah,
2015.
5 years. 5 years. Yeah, we
Yeah,
started pretty much similar.
Yes. How are you doing now?
Okay. Yeah, it's challenging, but luckily things are picking up now, so that's good.
Yeah. I hope everything's go well. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
tough time for me for me as well, but I've been enjoying my stay over here. So I hope
exactly.
I hope to learn from you. Yeah, feel free to I should meet up with you soon as well. Maybe we can have a chat.
Yeah,
Just to catch.
definitely. All right.
Yeah.
See you. Bye-bye.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. There's still people around.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you,
Bye
Eka.
bye. Hey, still here.
Eka's here. Hi, Eka. Are you there?
It suddenly disappeared.
Yes, he's away. Bye, Eka.
Okay.